So my name is Karl Lillrud, and I've been working in the e-commerce industry since 2000. And I learned a lot, and now I try to share this knowledge with larger corporations and today with you guys. So one thing that we all know for a fact is there's going to be change. We already seen it, and it's not going to stop. And that doesn't mean that this is the end for the physical retail industry, but rather that this is just a new future. And it's up to us to shape that future rather than just be affected by it. So this is how many stores feel today, that all their customers are moving from entering their stores to going online shopping stuff. And yes, the e-commerce industry have a massive amount of visitors to the stores. But in reality, that doesn't mean that they have a massive amount of sales. So for the e-commerce industry globally, the conversion, the actual amount of people visiting the store and then leaving the store with a purchased item is roughly 2 to 3%. And for retail, it's much higher. And if we look at the UK industry and the retail segment, we see a conversion that is about 48%. So the possibilities within retail are still huge because you get the chance to meet and understand your customers in a totally different way than what the e-commerce industry have been able to do yet. So these numbers might feel a bit strange because all of us hear about all these amazing stories that we see from Alibaba and Amazon specifically, but there are a ton of other smaller stores that are competing as well. It's not only these two huge giants. And we still see people on the streets. People are not just buying online. They are out there and they look for inspiration. They look for that personal treatment. They look for being taken care of. And that is the difference, because the e-commerce industry will always have a challenge in taking care of their customers because they will not have the personal connection with them. This is your opportunity, and it's up to you to tailor this opportunity so that it fits the consumer's best interest rather than your best interest. Because every consumer will be different, and every consumer's need will be different, but the consumers will actually react sort of the same on the triggers that you put out there. So if you find a way of talking to your customers that attract them and that cause them to feel interested in your offer and your way of working with them more particularly, then there will be a totally different game plan for you to act on. Because consumers want to be special. They want to feel that you understand them. They want to feel that they don't need to go into a huge store and all these other items that are not of interest to them are presented. They want to basically feel this: a selected wardrobe for their best fit and their personal interest. So this is your opportunity to be the gap, or to bridge the gap between the physical contact and the online commerce. You have a choice. Either you stay put and do what you have been doing for all these years, or you choose to be on the winner's side, moving with the consumer's interest as your interest as well. But let's take a look. What happened to Toys R Us, which is one of the big things that really shaken the market. Toys R Us is a huge brand, and they have thousands of stores, had thousands of stores, and went bankrupt. The problem with Toys R Us is that they decided to not focus on e-commerce. They didn't believe in internet, basically. They didn't believe in that the consumers would move from their amazing stores to start shopping online. So Amazon covered that base, and the customers moved from going to this experience by going to a Toys R Us store to actually shop in a much more convenient and easier way. And Toys R Us didn't manage to keep up with that in that race. So there will be slow players. There will be huge corporations that don't really understand how this new race works and what the rules are. And there will be younger companies that have a totally different idea about it. But if you don't are able to take on this challenge, then you will be left behind for sure. Because the customers, your customers, will not wait for you. The old rule book that you followed last year even is not the same rule book anymore. The rule book has changed. Or actually, there are new rules, and there is also possibility for you to write new rules. Because the customers are not totally sure about how they want to operate. The e-commerce industry have not found the secret sauce of solving conversion online. And you, the well-known and larger organizations, are in a situation where you can attack this possibility of actually writing the new rules, setting new standards. Or you can identify the companies that set the new standards, the fast-moving, smaller organizations that are able to understand the new technology in a better way than a large organization that might not be as agile and as fast-moving as they are. These small organizations, these up-and-coming challengers, are a possibility for you because they can be purchased by the large organizations. And this we have seen a lot. We see that the larger companies don't always need to solve the problem. They can cover their base, they can keep their market segment by buying smaller companies that already understand this new segment. Because if you just look at your market coverage and their market coverage and squeeze them together, there will be a totally different result. The strength that you will see by working together with a brand online is different from just being online, because your brand is already known as a physical retail store. A brick-and-mortar store is known by their customers for many years, and they expect one type of feeling. And if you choose to launch online with your own brand, they will expect the same feeling. They will not be able to actually understand that you are now much more innovative and creative than they ever seen before, which opens up the possibility of launching online with a different brand, but with your power, your strength, your abilities, your financial possibilities. So what is the truth about all this? That is a really difficult question, and one that I think everybody asks on a weekly basis at all, or at a weekly basis. We can identify the truth by following the consumer's behaviors. This is easily done online to some extent. We have all these different platforms to track how our customers move on the site, and we have all these different log systems to see what they do and how they choose and how they pick and so on. And we can build up personal identifiers and personas that are no longer personas actually, but actually a personal ID of a specific customer, even though we don't know that customer by name. And the possibilities with this are endless. It's just up to you to start collecting the data. And the data can be collected in your stores as well. There are a massive amount of systems to collect data in physical stores as well, as I'm sure you know, but maybe you don't connect the different data sets together, and that's where the magic happens. To understand how to connect the systems is something that everybody are challenged by. Because just having all the data is not the solution. You need to be able to understand the data, to analyze the data, and to actually analyze what questions you are interested in asking. Because if you don't know what you're asking, then how would you know where to search for the answer? So you need to figure out what questions are important for you, and for your organization, and for your growth model. Because there is not one growth model that is perfect. And if you try to copy a model that maybe your competitor or another successful company use, you would just reach half of what they are achieving, because they invented it. They didn't come up with a growth model just by chance. They learned how to do the hard work. So, as you collect the data, you have the possibility of identifying the weak links. By identifying the weak links, I mean that there are specific parts throughout a consumer's journey in your store, and also throughout the journey online, where we lose the customer's interest, where we lose the conversion, where we basically don't know why the customer are leaving. And this is a massive amount of problem, because every online organization are today struggling with the low conversion. I think everybody can agree that a conversion of about 2 to 3% is far too low. We lose 97, 98% of all our potential customers. And what I have seen in the organizations that I help is that they get together, the CEO asks all the smart questions, starting by asking the marketing guy, what did we do with all the money? And the marketing guy say, oh, we did all these amazing things, we did these marketing campaigns, and we attracted a massive amount of traffic to the store. Okay, that's good. So, what did that result in? And the e-commerce manager or the IT responsible person says, yeah, and we had a budget and we burned all the money to actually improve our systems to be able to handle all this massive amount of traffic that the marketing department have generated with the different ads that they have posted all around. Okay, so by investing in the technology and in the marketing, we have generated a traffic, and we could actually handle this traffic also. Our site didn't go down, basically. Okay, that's good. And then he turns to the financial team, and they say, yeah, this is great, because the traffic generated this amount of sales. And they don't talk about how many orders or how many visitors. They talk about how much money they made. They don't dig into the numbers enough. They don't ask the right questions. They start looking at, okay, so are we on the right side or are we on the wrong side of the line? Are we making profit or not? Or are we in a situation where we can handle the risk and the lack of profit currently? This is a greater challenge, to actually make the organizations understand how to handle the data and how to understand these different truths that you can find by analyzing the data properly. Because if you make a ton of money by just selling to 2% of your visitors, then you would make twice that if you sell to 4% of the visitors, obviously. So focus on your investments. Focus on each of the investments. Don't make one big investment. Analyze each and every segment and analyze which investments generate what profit. I'm sure you all know this already, but from my experience, the organizations know all about ROI, but they don't apply it when it comes to online business. They don't know that they can actually create segments and understand which segment generates the profit that they actually survive on. And many organizations burn a lot of money doing things that are perhaps negative to the brand, over-marketing one segment, causing frustration to their customer base. So how do you do that? It's basically like when you were a kid learning to walk. You don't just rise up and walk. That's not how we do things. You shoot as many balls as you can to hit the target, and you try to understand why all those other balls didn't hit, and then you don't do that again. But somehow we still do just that. We keep on hitting on the same target, but we lose it all the time. And we need to understand that you need to focus on the right angle and not all the angles at once. So identifying these different segments and do these and then break them up. So when you found one method that works, try that method 100 times, but tweaking it just a little bit to see which tweaks that you can incorporate to move forward. And I'm talking about this in a general term because I know that you come from different type of backgrounds, different companies and so on. And that's why I don't say, do exactly this and you will start making money. Because it's different depending on what your customer base is, how your product looks and how you sell your products. But this is not different. What we see here is the people that buy from you. And that small portion of people that actually buy the products that you sell. And these people we analyze like crazy. Why they buy and how come they are interested in spending the money in your store. But what about the rest? Isn't it actually the rest that are most important? The people that are not buying? Isn't it those we should try to find out more details about? Because the people that are buying, they're great, and I'm very happy that they're buying. But why are we losing all these other ones? And that's why what I'm talking about, the identification of the customers. Because we need to understand the people that are not becoming our customers. That's where the window of opportunity is. And that's where we can challenge the big players as well. By understanding how you can focus on the customer segment that is perfect fit for you. So let us just take a short look into the technology that we can apply. And the first technology is a customer. There are tons of customers out there, and they are basically shouting out all this information, but it's just up to you to collect it properly. You need to start tracking your customers in a way that are not pushing them away, of course. So this is a classic heat map of a website, which is a method that's been used for ages already. And it says a lot. It says how a consumer is moving around on the site. In this particular heat map, they have tracked the eye movement, which is limited, of course, because we can't track all our customers' eye movements because we don't have that type of access to their computers. But we could track the exact same thing by just tracking the mouse movements. And the mouse movements are quite similar to the eye movements. And we can learn a lot from this. We can learn where the customer are being distracted. We can learn where on the site things are not intuitive or easy enough to follow. And this is not new technology. It's been around for a long time. And this is how it's being used in physical stores. We have heat mapping in physical stores, which I'm sure you're also aware of and have tested out or maybe apply on a daily basis in your store. The heat mapping in stores is not rocket science, but have evolved over time. At first, we had this break the IR signal as we enter the store, which everybody are aware of, this funny sound that plays when we enter the door. After a while, the store started to place these wire signals throughout the store to see which parts of the store the customers actually didn't move into. And now with all the customers carrying a mobile phone, basically, we can track the mobile phone's movements inside the store, either by tracking how the mobile phone tried to connect to our different Wi-Fi hotspots, which is a well-used technology, but could be questionable. But also, we use technology to track the actual magnetic field that mobile phones give out. So we don't need to connect or track the actual device. We can actually connect the magnetic field movements throughout the store. And this enables us to learn a lot. But the problem with the heat map, or the possibilities with the heat map that we can see by applying it online, is also something that we need to take part of when we do it in physical stores. What we see with the heat mapping online is that we see where there's distraction. We see where we lose the attention of the customer. And where there's distractions, we will lose conversion. So how can we tackle that problem? This is an example of movement inside Ikea. I mean, this is sort of the dream for any store, to have a labyrinth where you force the customer to walk through the entire store, basically looking at almost every product. You might say this is not applicable to smaller stores, but this is actually being used by very small stores nowadays that have one entrance door and one exit door. I've been in stores that are just 100 square meters large, and they apply it. Very efficient. And by doing this, you also see which products you maybe should look into more, or maybe should stop presenting because they are distracting or taking up market shelf space that are better used for other products. We have already been talking a bit about Amazon Go, but I'd like to bring this up again because it's an important part of it all. Amazon Go decided that we don't want to waste the customer's time. So what they did was something that the industry was not aware of possible yet. Instead of trying to track the movements of the customer using all these known technologies, and instead of tracking the items that the customer pick up by using RFID or other known technologies, they actually decided to use just normal image recognition. So when I go into an Amazon store and pick something up from a shelf, and then walk around in the store and place it on another shelf, I will not have to pay for that because they identify what I do based on image rather than the other technologies. So image recognition can be used in so many more ways than you can imagine. We can even identify how consumers behave based on your products. But let's move forward. We all think this, the customer is king. But what I'm talking about is customer is king because customer is data. And the data is king. You need to be able to collect the data and present that back to the customer. Not as data, but as understanding. You need to present for the customer that you understand their need and requirements. And don't be in this situation. Don't waste the customer's time. But you can also apply technologies or solutions where you actually build on wasting customers' time by building the brand. But it's important to understand that the future is not what it used to be. We can't just keep on doing what we have been doing for all these years and hoping for a different result. The wheel have evolved a lot over the years. So why would we invent a new wheel? We should just invent a new hoverboard. And this hoverboard is actually for real. Lexus has just invented a hoverboard. So, is this the end? Definitely not. It's just a crossway. You just need to decide where you're going. And you need to understand that you need to start thinking outside the box. You need to apply new technologies. Because there are so many seeds to be planted, and it's up to you to plant those seeds, or perhaps identify already planted seeds. Because maybe you are not the smartest kid on the block any longer. Maybe there are smarter kids on the block, but they might not even be aware of that. And the road is not a straight path. Be prepared to fail. Be prepared to fail over and over again, and that's how you succeed. Just like when you learn to walk. You need to be prepared for a challenging ride. And it's lots of talk about robotics and AIs. Robotics have been here for a while. We use it in the warehouses a lot already. So it's not a big thing, but yes, it will become a big thing when they take over more and more work. And AI most definitely is going to make the robotics a big thing, because by using AI, the robotics can solve problems on their own without using machine learning, basically without having all the rules in their head or in their data sets, and actually try to solve problems on their own. But again, AI or corporations connected to consumer data is the possibilities. You don't need AI right now. You need to start collecting the data, because without the data, there will be no AI. You have the possibility to do this, but you need to also understand that the possibilities are now, because the personal data is going to be a big thing. And we've already seen this with Facebook. the personal data is not going to be open for everybody to use much longer. So make sure you use it now when you can. There are lots of possibilities with augmented reality. You can interact with augmented reality, positioning your product maybe closer to the consumers so they don't need to buy the product online because they see that the product is available just around the block. We can see now that the futuristic glasses that gives us extra information is not that futuristic any longer. Intel, who's making the processors in basically all computers, are now making small implants that we can add to a normal pair of glasses. These implants is the first generation. And quite soon we will see implants that we just add into our eye. So not being a cyborg like in Terminator, but actually getting extra amount of information of where we are and what we are looking at. Perhaps looking at the pair of trousers, seeing where they are made, seeing what fabric it's made of, and if you're interested, digging more into the detail and seeing the actual production line and everything. Because this is what we have been playing with before. We have tried to understand how something would look in our home. And with VR, we believe that this is going to be reality. But it's already here with augmented reality. I just pick up my phone and I move it around my room and I see the furniture that I have picked out. This is technology that you too can apply. You can help your customers to make the right decisions. They don't need to make the right decisions there and then in the store, but you can help them to make the right decisions in their home. Smart mirrors is also something that is super interesting because it makes it more efficient and make it time efficient for the consumers. We don't waste the customer's time. They don't need a changing room. Or perhaps bring the changing room with them. As you try on this new pair of glasses, maybe you want to see what your wife or your sister or whoever think of the glasses. So try them on in front of a virtual mirror and send them as a social media message to your selected few followers. Or why have opening hours? Why don't just replace one of the storefront windows with a big screen so that when your store is closed, you can still work together with the customer? Or perhaps have a smaller store, but with the entire collection. You don't need to have everything in the store. Make the store personal, make the store feel more luxury by having less products. And this is something that is really interesting, which is connected to what Alibaba Group are doing. They are actually offering a new type of buying cars platform. It's a vending machine for cars. So when you walk on the street and you see a nice car driving by, you just take up your phone, snap a picture of that, or use the app and point it at the car. The app will then recognize what type of car it is and say to you which vending machine that can offer you that car. You can go there and pick it up and try it for 3 months. If you don't like it, you just return it to the vending machine and pick another one. This is not the future. This is already out there. They are reinventing the wheel. They are doing things in a totally different way. You can't think of inventing a new wheel. You need to reinvent and outsmart even yourself. Because you don't want to be the fish on the side. You want to be the fish that everybody follows. You don't want to be part of just some massive amount of followers. Because today we know that the only way to survive is to actually think outside the box. We can't just copy and repeat. That's all for me. Thank you, guys.